With box 6, we get another free gift from DeAgostini. This time it looks like it's a Jeff Gordon, Hendrick Motorsports, Chevy Lumina shirt. We're building a Monte Carlo. Anyway, let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the DeAgostini Jeff Gordon 1/8 scale model build. I feel like we start each of these videos with me just apologizing as to why it's taken me so much time to work on these things. I don't really know. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Welcome back to the build. Let's get into box 6. This episode, we're going to pick up where we left off after last episodes with Stage 21. This package only consists of 3 components. We have the right front lower subframe clip, as well as the fore and aft lower control arm mounting positions that will be attached to the lower subframe. But before we get into that, I just want to grab the left front wheel and subframe assembly that we put together last time. I want to set that to the side because we will be using that later in the video. I just want to have it there when we need it. As we've seen throughout this build numerous times to this point, the lower control arm mounting assembly pieces are pokey-yoked, so they can only be attached to the subframe clip one particular way, and both of these are attached to that clip using AM screws. Again, we've talked about this before. I just want to reiterate, if you're new here, you're screwing metal into metal, so some other people are suggesting assembly oils, which would absolutely help, but for the sake of my build, I'm not putting any assembly oils or glues or anything like that on the car. So it took a little bit of extra force, but it still was tightened home without any issue. And we'll just go ahead and set that off to the side, and we'll move on to the next stage. Stage 22, another package that doesn't have a whole lot of pieces in it. This one only consists of essentially 2 pieces. We have the right front upper subframe clip, part A and part B, I guess you could call it. And those are going to be held together with 2 AM screws. And they go together, again, only one way. This isn't really a poke-yoke feature. This is kind of just how the assembly part is. If you were here for the last video, this is exactly what we did for the left side, the driver's side of the car, is these 2 pieces go together. Again, it's metal screw into metal frame, 2 of them, very simple, nothing too complicated. And then we'll just grab what we had previously done with the lower subframe clip and attach the upper subframe clip pieces to it. This gets attached with 2 CM screws, and those go together, but there's also 1 pin that kind of helps you locate where the upper clip attaches to the lower clip. Overall, it's simple, and it really locks this model into place. There's no wiggle room. So we'll just set that to the side. Stage 22 is done. And moving on to stage 23, this package has the radiator bracket, shock absorber body, top mount, inner spring, shock rod, has a little bushing that goes into the top of it, and then it has 3 packages of screws that we'll get into. First, we're going to assemble the radiator bracket to the right front subframe that we've been working on. As you can see here, pretty simple, locks in real nice and tight. Wink, wink, we're going to be getting into the radiator pretty soon. I just got it in the mail. We are behind on the videos, folks. This was done with a CM screw, and we're going to set that subassembly aside for now. And as we move on to the shock absorber assembly, I just wanted to say thank you guys for tuning in. If you are new here, please hit the like button. It helps out a lot. And if you like what you see, we're going to be building this entire car. We've already gone through 5 episodes of this. And if you want to see the rest of it play out, hit that subscribe button. We do a few other things on this channel, mostly NASCAR related. So I appreciate the support as always, guys. But as you can see, we're working on the shock absorber assembly. This helps dampen the rebound and jounce of the car, specifically jounce when the tire hits a bump and goes vertical in the positive direction. It absorbs that shock, hence why it's called shock absorber. I should have mentioned that the top mount was attached to the main body of the shock assembly using an AP screw, and we will attach the whole shock absorber assembly to the right front subframe clip with a DM screw. And we'll just take one quick look at it here before we set it to the side, and we'll also set the shock rod to the side. We'll pick that up later in the video, but that completes stage 23. And now we're going to get into the namesake stage of the vehicle. Of course, the door number on the car is 24, so naturally, I'm pretty excited about this being the 24th package, 24th stage of the build. But anyway, this has a lot to it. We have the right front lower control arm, right front anti-roll bar link, anti-roll bar arm. We have the suspension tether for the right front. We have the spring seat, upper control arm mount bracket, upper control arm, steering knuckle, and then a bunch of screws to assemble all of these things together. The first piece that we're going to assemble onto the subframe is the upper spring seat. Now, normally on vehicles, these are rubber, but this particular one is plastic. It's held together with 2 EP screws. I'm not sure if the NASCARs are plastic. I would assume they're also rubber, but this is what we have for this model. So we're just going to roll with it and set that back to the side while we move on to the next piece, which is the upper control arm as well as the upper control arm mount. Something interesting about this one is it's painted, whereas the left side, the driver's side of the car, was not painted. I'm not entirely sure if that was an error or if that's supposed to be like that. But basically, we're going to take this upper control arm mount and this little bracket. We're going to attach them all together. As you can see, it said R for the right side. We're going to put those together with 2 AM screws, and that is going to allow this subassembly to freely rotate and articulate, so we can have, again, working suspension on this model. I am impressed with the detail, as I've said multiple times before. Next, we'll grab the anti-roll bar arm and attach that to the anti-roll bar link. Those are going to be combined with an ADM screw. And it's kind of funny how the anti-roll bar or the sway bar or the anti-sway bar have so many different names, all to achieve the same thing, not allowing the body of the vehicle to roll when cornering. And now we'll get into the right front lower control arm. Similar to the left front, the spring has a notch that it fits into, so it locks into place and is in a specific orientation. That's like that on most rail cars, but it's like this for the model as well. Here, then, we're going to take that little subassembly that we didn't exactly put together, and we're going to bring our right front subassembly from the subframe clip. We're going to attach the lower control arm to that with 2 ACM screws. And again, just like the left front, we have articulating suspension. And for the time being, we'll set that to the side and grab the upper control arm mount assembly. And I think I already mentioned this, but you can see that the R is cast into these pieces so that there is no mistake that it will be going on the right side. This whole assembly just rests on the top of that spring mount area and is fit together and tightened with 1 singular AM screw, and again, the upper control arm is able to open and close freely. We'll add this tether just as we did on the left side. The bottom of it kind of just slides over a pin, and then the top of it is attached with a flanged FM screw, but you have to compress the spring a little bit to assemble this together. It's not difficult, it's just one of the things that takes a little bit more work than just screwing something together. I do want to mention while we look at it here for a second how the spring and tether get held together. This is a fun project. I mean, despite it being rather expensive, I'm having a lot of fun putting this thing together, and it's just really cool. So again, this piece that we're going to put on the shock rod, it attaches to the lower control arm and then slides into the upper shock main housing. It attaches with an FM screw to the lower control arm, and you see it just slides in and out of the main shock housing. So again, shock, suspension, spring, it's all there. And we'll quickly pick up the next piece, which is that anti-roll bar, that sway bar subassembly with the linkage. We'll attach that to the lower control arm using an ADM screw. Again, that one has a flange on it as well to allow for a little bit of articulation, but to hold it in place. And finally, I know this is a long part of the video, but we're going to get to the last piece of stage 24. This is the steering knuckle assembly. It's all kind of molded together, cast together. There's not really any individual parts. It's kind of how it is in real life too. The top slides into the upper control arm, the bottom slides into the lower control arm, and both are held in with an FM screw to allow the steering to actually work so you can turn the car left and right. So we'll just take one quick look at it here as we wrap up stage 24. We can turn it left, we can turn it right, we can jounce and rebound the suspension, and then we'll just set that to the side. All right, so with 2 to go in stage 25, we have the brake caliper, brake line, we have part A and B of the brake disc, we have the tie rod end for both the left and the right front, we have the whole tie rod center steering link, we have the front clip cross member that attaches the subframe clip to the left and right, we have brake lines that we're going to need to cut, and then we have an anti-deformation cross beam that is going to be temporary in the model. And we're going to start by grabbing this little tiny brake line, and we're going to attach it to the calipers using tweezers. It's just a little press fit. It's nothing difficult. Again, we did this on the left side of the car, so on the driver's side, it's nice and easy. I love the Willwood printed decal that's on the front of the caliper. It's pretty nice, sponsor placement, and it just looks good. Once we're done with that, we're going to grab our whole right front subassembly, and we're going to move that out of the way. We'll pick up our brake caliper assembly and attach that to the steering knuckle using 2 EP screws. Locks it in place. Very nice. I will say one thing about this model in general is just I wouldn't consider myself that big of a car guy. I mean, I know my way around most vehicles, but my dad would know way more because he's a mechanic. And this model has just helped me kind of understand a little bit more about the ins and outs, the more detailed areas of the vehicle that I'm not entirely familiar with myself. It's been a lot of fun from that aspect and somewhat enlightening as well. I know it's a 1997 Monte Carlo NASCAR, so it's not exactly like most cars, but the Camaro that we're building, it draws a lot of parallels from a drivetrain and suspension standpoint. So as you've seen over the past few seconds, we've assembled the entire steering linkage tie rod assembly together using DM screws to put the ends on the center and then an FM screw to put the steering link specifically onto the tie rod center. And that was done with an FM screw. We've also attached that to the right front subassembly, the subframe clip with an FM screw, and we'll just grab the left front subframe clip, and we're going to do the same thing. So you attach the tie rod end to the bottom of the steering knuckle with an FM screw, and as you can see, we have this entire front end of the car finally taking shape and coming together. So we'll be able to turn the wheels left and right with these pieces. And clearly this thing is not structurally sound, so we're going to have to add the front clip cross member from the left to the right side, and these 2 ends are held together with JM screws, again metal into metal, so it took a little bit of tightening but not too bad, and overall it provided a ton of structural rigidity to the model as well as obviously the real car. Now normally when you say you're going to cut some brake lines, that would be considered a criminal offense. However, in this instance, we're just going to be grabbing this tubing that is plastic and will be used for our brake lines in this model. It's fun to always break out the handy dandy calipers and set it to a specific length. As I've probably mentioned before, I am an engineer, so I am very detail oriented, so stuff like this I gotta get right. Even though you're probably never gonna really see these things in the model, I want it to be as right as possible and follow the instructions to a T. So we cut them to 150 millimeters each, one for the left front brake caliper and one for the right front brake caliper. And this was a fun part of the project. I always like to get the calipers out. Assembling them onto the actual brake calipers was really easy. The tubes are plastic and they just slide over. They're just press fit onto the brake calipers themselves. So nothing really difficult, and believe it or not, that finishes up. Nope, just kidding. We have to add this structure bar to help this front clip not deform whenever we're working on it, because it is under a lot of stress with the way that the pieces are kind of all pulling together. And finally, we're going to get into stage 26. In this package, we have the front anti-roll bar, the steering gear box cover, steering sector gear, steering arm, worm gear, and the shaft associated with it, steering gearbox housing, power steering fluid hose, and a couple bags of screws to put all of these things together. Let's get into it. First, we're going to assemble the straight end of the steering sector gear into the hole on the inner side of the gearbox. And then we're going to take the threaded end of the worm gear and shaft and apply that. Finally, we're going to take the steering box cover, put that over top of it. You can see it spins, rotates, and we're going to assemble all of those components together using 3 cm screws, lock it in nice and tight. Again, this model will actually turn and steer, so that is really cool. And speaking of cool, if you guys are still here, that's fantastic. I appreciate your viewership and your commitment to this model, and I just wanted to say thank you before we kind of wrapped it all up. So anyway, we're going to grab our steering subassembly that we just made. We're going to take our front sway bar clip, put those together using 2 AEM screws. Boom, done, just like that. Set it to the side for now because we're going to grab our entire front end clip assembly. We're going to flip it over so the bottom side is up, and we're going to take our anti-roll bar clip, put it right on top of the model, just like that. And here's where it gets tricky. And I actually had to redo this section because when I put this front sway bar clip onto the model and screwed it all down, I didn't realize that the sway bar arms were not attached. They were actually folded underneath the steering link assembly, so I had to take it apart and redo it. But anyway, all of the pieces that were assembled onto the front sway bar clip were done using FM and AM screws. And that attached the sway bar to the subframe as well as the linkages to the sway bar. And the last thing left to do is put the power steering fluid hose on top of the gearbox, and that's the end of the assembly portion today. So as we wrap this up, I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support. If you made it this far in the video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it and it helps the channel out. I have the next 2 boxes for this car. I'm going to try my hardest to not let it take a month in between them because I need to catch up. So again, thank you guys for the support. This car is turning out fantastic. I'm super excited to see where it keeps going, and we're just going to keep knocking it out box by box. So again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you really enjoyed it. Have a great day. Thanks everyone. Bye.